Experience, skills, education, qualification, information and knowledge. Worthless to you at interview. Now, I'm going to say that again so it sinks in. Experience, skills, education, qualification, information and knowledge. Worthless to you at interview. Now, if you are the sort of person, and most of us have been, the sort of person who at interview tries to demonstrate those things, tries to win the job by demonstrating those things, for me to say that they're worthless to you at interview can be really quite confronting. Let me explain. There are two reasons why this is so, and they're both compelling. The first one, remember we had 20 people apply and we shortlisted and we're interviewing 8 people. How did we get down from 20 to 8? So somebody would have looked at your experience, skills, education, qualification, information, knowledge expressed on your resume and made a decision that you have sufficient of those things to do this job. The fairest part of the process is the shortlisting. Why? Because you're not there. So it's very objective. We're going on comparable information on somebody's resume. It would be even fairer if we took your name off the resume and disguised your gender, your race or whatever, so we were going completely blind in that regard. It would be fairer still. But as the system as we have it now, the fairest part of the process is shortlisting. So here's the good news. You get an interview, you're a contender. Somebody has decided that you have sufficient experience, sufficient skill, knowledge, information, qualification, education to do this job. If you don't, there's been a mistake. But by and large, they'll get that right. Here's the bad news. So do the other 7 people we're interviewing. And because somebody's decided you already have sufficient, it's very difficult now for us to decide further on that basis alone. How much more do you need than sufficient? Well, you don't need any more than sufficient. You have sufficient. It'll be other factors now which take over. The second reason, which is just as compelling, if I start with experience as an example. In my working life, I have on a number of occasions, and if you work for any length of time, you will have too, worked with people who have 10 years experience and they're hopeless. Absolutely hopeless. It's a sad fact that for some people, 10 years experience is 1 year's experience 10 times. That they don't learn any more in the next 9 years than they do in the first year. People ask for experience. They put it on their selection criteria, they look you in the eye, they tell you they want it, they try and choose it, but they can't choose it. And the reason they can't choose it, it has no value. What they do choose are the lessons learned from that experience. And this is not just semantics. There's a big difference between the lessons you learned and just having the experience. What I want you to do, every single time you're talking about your experience at interview, I want you to couch it in terms of what I have learned from this. And that's valuable for 2 reasons. What you learned makes you valuable, but the fact that you're demonstrating that you can learn, that you do learn, that learning is an ongoing process for you into the future makes you valuable as well. I coached a woman, she had a very simple goal in life. She wanted to work in retail. She wanted to be a shop assistant. She had lots of experience for this. She'd been a shopper for many years. But as you know, most retail outlets will not recognise that as experience. I said to her, come on, you must have some experience somewhere. Let me think. School canteen. You helped out at your kid's school. You did school canteen. She said, nope, never did school canteen. The closest I've ever come, the church I go to, we have a fete day every year to raise money for the church, and we've been doing this for a number of years. But the last 3 years I've been involved in the trash and treasure store. Beautiful. That's what I was looking for. So I wrote in her resume that she had experience in retail over a period of 3 years. And that's not telling a lie, I don't think, because I don't like telling lies. I don't ask anybody to tell lies on their resumes. What I'm trying to do is present the truth in its best possible light. So I wrote this on her resume, which immediately got her an interview. She now works for a major retail outlet. When she was in interview, they asked her about her experience. And because I had coached her, she said, what I've learned is this. She got the lessons right. They never questioned the experience. And they never will, because they don't want experience. Experience is worthless. If it was valuable, you wouldn't work with people with 10 years experience who are hopeless. What is valuable is the lessons you learn from that experience. Couch all your experience in terms of lessons learned. Education qualification. I know people, great students. Here's my degree, here's my postgrad, here's my certificate, here's my diploma. Can they do the job? Well, some can and some can't, but I'll tell you one thing, there are no guarantees on that wall. If you do have good qualifications, if you do have good education, what you need to do is to sell it. How do you translate that qualification, education, into the ability to do the job better? Again, what I have learned from it is this. This makes me a better candidate. Skills are so rarely tested at interview. Why? I have no idea. Personally, I would make everybody test skills. Don't tell me you can do it. Show me you can do it. Far more valuable. But skills don't differentiate between people at interview because they are rarely tested. You are asked, do you have the skill? Nobody says no. Everybody says they have the skill. Knowledge and information, not only worthless to you, but actually damaging to you at interview. You have a switch in your mind, and this switch is rusted onto what's the right answer. So you're at an interview, you hear a question, and the first thought through your mind is, what's the right answer? And then you earnestly, honestly, to the best of your ability, try and give the right answer. I've had people come out of interview and say to me, well, they asked me 7 questions. I got 6 right. I think I've gone really well today. And they've gone dreadfully, absolutely dreadfully, and they have no notion at all of why they've gone so bad. The problem with this notion of right answer, a lot of people get very nervous at interviews, and I understand that. You get nervous. I really need this job to further my career. I really need this job to pay next month's rent. A lot of pressure on you at that time. I understand that. But the notion with right answers, if there's a right answer, there's also a wrong answer. So now you're putting extra stress on yourself in this hope that I won't get the wrong answer. There are no wrong answers. There are no right answers. There are only ever right approaches. Here's a really powerful strategy, which is much easier in theory than it is in practice. You need to teach yourself this. Every single time when you're at an interview and you hear a question, teach yourself the first thought through your mind, not what's the right answer, where you would normally go, but instead, what's the best use of this question to me? How do I best use this question? How do I use this question to help me get this job? Not answering the question, no right answers, the best use of this question. I was coaching a woman, very senior woman, earning a few $100,000 every year. I explained this to her. I said, do you get it? She said, oh, I get it. It's very clever. I like it a lot. I said, you don't get it. She said, Philip, you asked me if I got it. I got it. What can I tell you? I get it. I said, no, you don't get it. Tell me about a time you had a conflict with somebody you work with. She immediately said, well, about 6 months ago. Oh, stop there. What are you doing right now? I'll tell you what you're doing. You're giving me the right answer. You said you got it, but you don't get it. Now, I'm not saying that this side of the ledger, the merit side of the ledger, has no value. It has a lot of value. But what's most valuable on this side of the ledger, we haven't got on our list. What is valuable on this side of the ledger? 3 things. Wisdom, insight, and understanding. Wisdom, insight, and understanding. This has to become your mantra for interview. Wisdom, insight, and understanding. Every time they ask you a question, the first thought through your mind, what's the best use of this question to me? Every single question, there's a junction where you can offer the information and the knowledge, limited value, or you can offer the wisdom, the insight, and the understanding. And every single time, the wisdom, the insight, and the understanding will be more valuable to you than just the information and the knowledge.